morning today or afternoon, wherever you may be. Today is Saturday, April 27th, 2019. Welcome to our Contract Trust conference call. We are not accountants, tax professionals, lawyers, or currency dealers. We're not engaged in rendering legal, tax, accounting, or other professional advice. Should you require those services, you should retain competent advice from a professional in that field. You know, as we approach this RV currency evaluation, it's more important than ever for us to be prepared for this exchange. So why don't we get down to brass tacks here? Let's talk about contract trust. So you ready to get started, Judy?
Yes, ma'am, I am. So let me start off by asking, what is a contract trust, Carol?
A common law contract trust is not really a trust at all, but a contract in trust format. It is a unique agency of commerce that offers numerous advantages in the areas of state preservation and asset protection. And you know what? My computer just decided to stop. So hang on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. I have had more computer problems in the last, 7 months that I've been here.
Yeah, you've really had challenges.
Let's open this up again and see if it works. Please, God, make it work. There we go. All right. Okay, Judy.
So, Carol, is common law still valid?
Yes, despite the opinions of some attorneys who don't know what they're talking about, common law is a system of law which is based on judges' decisions and on custom rather than on written laws. And while some attorneys may try to convince you otherwise, common law is still very valid today. The basis for the term common law trust in this instance is not that the organizations are creatures of common law, but they are created under the common law of contracts and do not depend on any statute. They are not organized under any statute, and they derive no power, benefit, or privilege from any statute. All the various states of this country, except for Louisiana, have founded their systems on the common law of England and have adopted its rules of stare decisis, which under unwritten law is made through case law decision. We are guaranteed the right to contract from our Constitution, which is a common law contract itself. Since the contract trust springs from contract, common law, there is here we go again. Inalienable right to use it freely. Sometimes I have a problem with that.
I know, it's cool. We all do. So, Carol, what are the advantages of the contract trust?
The contract trust owns and controls its assets through its trustees, who keep controlling minutes of their actions. As trustee, you are in total control of the assets of the trust and its assets. There is no one, repeat that, no one between you and your money. A person can transfer all of his or her property, real or personal, to a contract trust. Such property is thereby protected from personal liabilities, probate, and death taxes. The contract trusts that we prepare are irrevocable.
Okay. So why are these contract trusts often called the Massachusetts Business Trust?
You know, in the early part of the last century, in certain states, specifically Massachusetts, it was illegal for a corporation to own real estate in its own name. Obviously, this created a basic liability problem for individuals. Businessmen looked for an agency of commerce that would give the advantages of corporation without the inherent disadvantages to solve the liability problem. They looked into English common law and found what they were looking for in Smith v. Anderson. The Smith decision established the validity and viability of these entities in English common law beginning in 1880. The Smith decision has never been reversed. You know, for many, many years, we and Jim Jenkins as well called these business trusts. We have encountered so many issues with the word business that we have decided to, even though our trust is technically still a business trust, we have decided to drop the word business from the name because it's very confusing, especially to bankers.
Okay, that makes sense. So, Carol, how is a contract trust created?
The participants of the contract trust are the creator, investor, exchanger, trustees, and certificate holders of beneficial interest. The creator, a separate natural person from the investor exchanger, initially represents the contract trust and bargains with the investor exchanger to exchange $21 and 100 trust certificate units for the investor exchanger's property. That is how your currency becomes part of the trust. There are 4 ways to transfer property: gift, sale, assignment, or exchange. The contract trust uses the exchange method. The creator then appoints the first trustee, either himself, which he can do, or anybody else of his choosing. That person could legally be the original investor exchanger. Once the first trustee is appointed, the creator exits the contract trust contract, and they're done.
Okay. So, Carol, what's the business of the contract trust?
The business of the trust is estate planning.
Okay. So what are certificates and what do they represent?
The certificate represents the exchange between the creator and the investor exchanger. The initial investment of money or property by the exchanger is a fixed, irrevocable investment. The certificates become the personal property of the record owner alone, without reservation of any community property interest, which means if you want to go into a trust without your spouse, you can do that. Ownership does not entitle the certificate owner to any legal or equitable title in or to the trust organization properties or assets, but shall only entitle the record owners of trust units to their proportionate shares of distributions. Unlike a corporation, no certificate holder shall have any right to manage or control the destiny, property, affairs, or business of the trust organization or trustees. The certificate becomes null and void upon the death of the holder. It is the responsibility of the remaining or successor trustees to issue new certificates. You will receive 4 trust certificates with your trust. The first 2 are signed by the creator. The second 2 are provided for your successor trustee who takes over the management of the trust when you die. Do not sign them. That even though everything we send out is clearly marked where you have to sign, many people still come, what am I supposed to do with these other 2 certificates and should I sign them? So no, do not sign them.
Okay. So where can I find legal backup supporting contract business trusts?
Well, not in the T as in Tom section of the library, but in the B as in boy section for business trust. As part of your trust package, you will receive access to our members-only website, which gives you all the legal backup you want, including American Jurisprudence, 2nd, Volume 13, an explanation of a contract trust, and many, many operating instructions. And I have a sense we're going a little fast here because we've got a lot to talk about. So if anybody has a question for Q&A, please just raise your hand and we'll try to fit you in between. Okay, Jim? Okay. Jim, you don't have to raise your hand. Jim? Okay. Well, I guess he doesn't have a question. Jim, are you there?
Yeah, but I didn't raise my hand. I guess I did it initially to let you know that I want to make sure we recorded.
Okay, all right, there. I'll just get get you out of there. So anyway, so we're okay. Judy, we're in number 9.
Yeah. So Carol, do I need more than one contract trust?
Well, you probably don't need an additional contract trust at this point. You will more than likely want to diversify post-RB. We like to call this first contract trust your motherlode trust. It is and should stay private, not only to you and your private banker or wealth manager. We suggest that you never purchase anything from this trust and never do online banking from this trust. You shouldn't even need checks or a debit card. Once the initial business of the RB has settled down, you may wish to create additional contract trusts for specific needs.
So, Carol, I'd like to ask a question at this point in time because I'm certain that many people on the call are involved with, what we're calling the prosperity programs. Can we put the funding from the contract, from the money that we get in the prosperity programs into our mother load?
I wouldn't. I would keep them separate. They're 2 separate contracts in a sense. So you've got your currency in one and your your prosperity packages or whatever else they are should go into a second one. You agree or disagree, Jim?
I'm sorry, Carol. Please forgive me for coughing.
No problem. Jim, would you agree? Jim must have stepped away. Or did I take him offline? Let me check. There we go.
Well, it makes
okay,
sense. What you're saying
now,
makes sense.
You're so mean.
Jim, would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Judy?
Yes, it does. Probably answers other people's questions as well. So anything we have from outside of currency should have its own trust.
And by my way of thinking, yes. And it's not just because we need some more trust. It's because you should keep things as separate as possible.
Right, okay. So do I need an EIN for each trust?
Well, that all depends on the purpose of the trust. If you anticipate doing any banking from a contract trust, it needs its own EIN. For instance, if you decide you want a real estate trust for your personal home, you don't necessarily need a bank account for that. You certainly don't need a bank account for a car. But if you are purchasing homes for rental, you might want to set up a bank account specifically for that property. And that's all up to you. But we do obtain EINs on your behalf as part of our service. And let's hang on a second, Judy. We do have a question here.
Okay.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you doing today?
Hi, Carol. This is Sandy from Dallas.
I haven't heard from you in a while, Sandy. How you doing?
Well, I went into the hospital for a little while, had a little surgery, and so I listened to the last call, but I was drifted in and out, so I don't know if I caught too much. But when you say you don't want to use your mother lode account, what if you have, say for instance, like you want to make a loan or to someone, one of your grandchildren needs to borrow some money. So if you do the contract to loan them the money so that they eventually maybe pay it back through what I've learned through you, would you want it out of the mother lode, or do you need another? How would I do that?
Well, I would set up a secondary trust just for stuff like that. Okay. So you're going to have the mother lode funded this secondary trust. Nobody needs to know about the mother lode except you and your banker and wealth manager. So you're going to set up the secondary trust. You're going to put however much money in there you think is going to be necessary, and that's the one you're going to work from. That's the one you're going to loan money from. That's the one that's going to fund other trusts to buy houses and stuff like that. The mother lode trust should stay in the shadows.
Okay. All right. And also, also, if you loan them the money, that is when it's in a form of a contract loan, that's not taxable to them. Is that correct?
If it is a loan and you have genuine loan papers that you can get online, they're very easy, and they do make some payments, it's not taxable. Loans are not taxable.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Judy?
So, Carol, now that we know how we put our currency into the contract trust, how do I get it out? How do I get money out?
That's obviously a pretty popular question. There are actually 4 different ways. The first way is to pay yourself a modest salary as a trustee. This should be enough to cover your everyday needs, groceries, utilities, gasoline, medical bills, etc. Let's face it, you're probably not going to have a mortgage anymore. You're probably not going to have any more car payments. So your monthly nut is not going to be probably as high as it is now. But, if you decide you need $5,000 a month, then that's what you pay yourself. If it's not enough, give yourself a raise. The second way is to declare and pay a distribution to the trust certificate holders of the trust, like we talked about earlier. In either case, the money is taxable income to you. You probably do want to take some money out this way and pay a minimal amount of tax. You can also borrow from the trust. A big question for many is, how do I pay off my house, or how do I purchase new property? And there are a couple ways to do this. You could borrow money from the trust, essentially a new mortgage or refi that you control, or the trust could pay off or purchase the property itself. In either case scenario, you still are owning the property in your own name. This is not a good idea if you're trying to keep it low profile. A better option is to obtain a mortgage from the trust secured by promissory note and put the house in a real estate trust. That would be optimal for larger expenses and it's still not a taxable event. You could use the same method to purchase new vehicles, etc. Creating secondary contract trust is another way to purchase big items without creating a loan or a taxable event, and that way the real estate trust or vehicle trust owns the property outright from the beginning. And, don't forget about tax-deductible expenses. What about vacations and golf and tennis club memberships? As a trustee, you're charged with managing and growing your trust. That means you probably want to investigate business opportunities and relationships, right? And most of these expenses are deductible to the trust. However, I wouldn't deduct 100% of everything. But regardless of which method or combination of methods you choose, be sure to write minutes to support your actions. You must be diligent in keeping a contract trust legal and in compliance with federal, state, county, and city codes.
Okay, great. Oh. So, Carol, we've all heard that this exchange may not be a taxable event. How can I take advantage of the one-time tax break?
Well, I think most of us have issues that we need to address post-RV. And whether it be outstanding debt, a new car, helping out friends, we don't want to pay taxes. We don't have to. So I'm going to tell you straight off, you guys know I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax planner, but this is, in my personal opinion, how I think this might go. So the exchange, how about this scenario? Mr. Banker, I now have X million dollars. I would like you to put $100,000 into a personal account. Here is my account number, wiring instructions, or I would like to open a personal account now. I would like to take $9,500 cash with me when I leave today, as well as a debit credit card attached to my new personal account. I will need these wires to be sent, and here is a list of cashier's checks that I need. I understand you can do 7 of each. I will need a pass-through account for X number of dollars. I'd like to put the balance into an account at your bank for ABC Trust. Here is my paperwork. Abstract and EIN should be all that you need. However, if they ask for more, give them the whole trust. Once again, I'm not a CPA or tax planner. This is just my opinion of how we may be able to take advantage of this one-time tax break. Obviously pretty simplified, but I'm sure you get the idea.
Right. So you just mentioned a pass-through account. What exactly is that?
Well, some of us have more than one trust at present. Personally, again, this is my opinion, I don't believe we will have the opportunity or the time to open more than one account. By setting up a pass-through account, you will be able to fund those trusts without creating a taxable event. And while we're on that subject, if you have a current bank account for your trust, you will want to open a second account and close the first. I have heard that we can't mix old fiat money with new asset-backed money. And I do have more instructions on this. If you'd like more information, just email me.
That makes good sense.
So let's see.
Okay. So do you know if the RV will well, we just answered that, if the RV will be considered a taxable event? We're still in the we don't know yet.
Yeah. And, there's still, from everything we're hearing, it should not be taxed on a federal level. However, if it's not the case, you'll need to set up a secondary trust account to pay the taxes. You might not be able to do it that day, but do it the next day. If it's taxed, you're covered. If it's not, you have a sizable bonus. I have heard that because the ZIM may be classified as a bond, it may be taxable, although I've only heard that once or twice, so who knows at this time. If you live in a state that imposes a state income tax, we recommend you domicile a contract trust in a state that does not. We suggest Wyoming or Washington, and we have some contact information if you're interested.
Okay. So if there are taxes levied, will future cash disbursements to trustees be tax-free?
Disbursements to the trustees are always going to be taxable to the trustee. The amount paid to the trustee is a deduction to the trust, so it's not double taxation, like it would be in a court.
Got it, okay. We have heard that we should have a separate account for dinar apart from other currencies. Does that mean another trust?
The important word here is account. One contract trust can own several bank accounts, so the answer would be no. However, you can have it if it's a trust if you feel you want to set it up that way. The trust can have as many bank accounts and as many banks and locations as you feel appropriate. Personally, my husband and I plan to have our mother-lode trust accounts in several different banks. So open it initially at the exchange with probably Wells Fargo or HSBC, move some of it out to maybe Chase, using the same trust and same EIN number. That is just a transfer, so that's not a taxable event.
Got it. Okay. Will you be available to answer any questions or prepare additional trusts after we have the RV?
Well, like many of you, Jim and I plan to retire after the RV. We will stay in business for about 6 months post-RV, but we do have a staff that will continue to produce trusts if necessary. Our members-only website will archive all of our calls as well as questions and answers as they arise.
Excellent. Do I have to contact you to write minutes or update my trust?
Several years ago, like 1992, when my husband and I got into this business, Jay said, we just can't give people the keys to this F-16 without giving him an owner's manual. So we created several booklets about the trust and how to operate. Our website has links to all those booklets, including sample minutes for your use, as well as a host of legal backup, including AMDR Second on Contract Business Trust. We give you very specific directions on operating your trust, as well as instructions on writing minutes to document your actions. This will save you time and money. Our website, www.indicatorinformation.com, is full of sample minutes for your use. The website is members only for your authorized use only. Please email me or Jim for an invite code to join.
Okay. Carol, how long does it take to set up a contract trust and how much does it cost?
Well, typical turnaround time has been less than a week until recently because we've been getting a lot more business. With the anticipation of the happening soon, we have been very, very busy. The pre-RV cost is $14.95 for the first trust. Additional trusts are $11.95. This is a one-time charge, and since it is not registered with the state, there are no annual fees to the state like there are with corporations and LLCs. And we also offer a $300 referral fee for new clients.
What if I just wait and exchange my own name and SS number?
Well, that's using your own name and Social Security number is kind of foolhardy because you have absolutely zero asset protection. Setting up your contract trust pre-RV guarantees your privacy and anonymity and shows the bank you are prepared for asset protection. As far as so-called skeleton or temporary trusts, they are revocable, therefore there's no asset protection. And unfortunately, the bank becomes your partner. And I don't think anybody on this call wants that.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree with that. So, Jim, what's on your mind today? I'm sure you have something to share.
I have quite a few things, actually, but we'll make it really short and sweet. I don't know if I just don't have the ability or just don't pay enough attention, but I don't really do a really good job of proofing my own stuff. A couple things were brought to my attention. Evidently, on the mail out that everybody got, it looks like Jay's my husband. Carol, you
Mine.
You want to explain that for me real quick?
We have a standard letter that I wrote some years ago, and I said my husband Jay, and Jim uses the same letter, but he just forgot to edit that part out.
That's cute.
And so on top of that, we lost one of our close friends, John, a couple months ago. He was working with us, and then I told everybody I'm moving a good friend of mine out from Wisconsin that has cancer and survived it. And I've had a few people ask me, well, what's that mean? Are you boyfriends? No, folks. We're not. Then I happen to note here on my note that I have, if I had a husband, it would be Jay, John, and Joe. I guess I like it. Hey. So I wanted to clear that up first thing. So anyway, I do have some other good things to share. Some people have been calling me and saying, I can't get in your website because it's unsecure. Well, it's not unsecure. It's got an SSL certificate, and that stands for Secure Socket Layer. And that's now required by Google, which is owned by Alphabet, Inc., also owns Chrome. And they set this up because they want to make sure that people if they bought things on their phone, that the system would be secure because everybody's starting to buy things on the phone. So webmasters like me, we have to go out and buy these SSL certificates, and they're expensive. They're not cheap. They're between $300 to $1,000 a year. Well, we have them set up on our server, and evidently Chrome, which is owned by Google, which really pushed this, decided that we want you to buy a more expensive one. So we're going to tell everybody it's not secure. So there's a class action suit pending right now against Google for this, and I'll probably jump in on that one. And so, trust me, folks, the site is secure. I use, as a webmaster, I have Opera, Chrome, I have Firefox, and Edge. And I look at my website on all those when I make modifications. And Chrome has just been a real butt. They put theirs unsecure. You can just click ignore that and go, and the site will show you when you get there the green padlock, which means it's secure. It's annoying, and I don't know how to get around it other than spend another $1,000 just to make them happy, and I don't really want to do that. But we may. All right, that was another thing I want to talk about. Now, we had a call this week from somebody, or an email from somebody that went to see an attorney about some of the stuff we do. And he just got really crazy and said all kinds of stupid things. And he doesn't understand any of this stuff. Most attorneys don't. And let me explain this by going clear back to 1979 when I started learning about this. The guy that taught me this run with some really interesting folks, the very wealthy. And give an example. When Senator Kennedy had that little incident in Chappaquiddick and run off the bridge and killed the lady that he was with, the car was in trust. Everything that the Kennedys own is in trust. And so the only thing the family got was the insurance policy off the car, and that was it. And then he paid some more out of his salary for being a senator to the family, and that was about it. The Kennedys, whether I've read a lot about them and seen how they structured their lives, and everything they own is in trust, just like what we do, exactly like what we do. And here's the kicker. The person that put this together way back when in the 80s was fairly well-to-do. And what you have, this trust, this style of trust, you're not even supposed to know about it. The ultra-wealthy have been using these for over 100 years. Some of these go back 200 years. You're not even supposed to know about these things. This is what the mega-wealthy use, the same exact system. Maybe not the word for word, but the same system. So when the attorneys say, well, this is that or that's this, and, that's no good, and common law's gone, and they have no clue. They're not taught about trust. They're not taught about how to secure assets at that level. So just bear in mind that what you have is it's the Rolls Royce. It really, really is. All right, I started this stuff in 1979. We put our first office in Hong Kong in 83. I put an office in the Bahamas in 93. In 99, I moved in and did a little bit of work in the British Virgin Islands. So I've been around this thing, played this thing for quite some time. Then I met my friends Jay and Carol. We decided instead of competing, we'd be better off if we worked together. So we did that. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the $21. I've had that question come up so many times. The Constitution guarantees you a jury trial in any debt over $20. So I just always put $21 on all my contracts. All the attorneys put $10 in other consideration. Yeah, well, what does that get you? Get you in trouble. So always use, if you do a contract, put 21 or more dollars. And that guarantees you a trial by jury. Now, what's unique about a jury trial, this is the closest thing you'll get today to a common law trial, and the jury can nullify the judge's order. So keep that in mind. What I use, I want to use lawful currency. I want to use money, $21 of money, real money. Well, it's hard to do that nowadays, but you can get silver certificates fairly inexpensively, and so I always use silver certificates. You can buy them at the coin stores. And let's see, I had one more thing I want to talk about. We need help. I made a note here. We need help. Since John passed away, we've been trying to work with another person, and then now she has cancer, and she's very ill, and she can't help as much as she needs to. And I just don't have the knowledge to work on this server. Now, I can build websites, and I built the website we have right now, and I keep it up as best I can, but I don't have the knowledge. If anybody out there is a guru with servers, can help me put some of that stuff together, please get a hold of me. I don't care what state you live in, we can work together. So we need to address that. So I'm putting out a plea for help on this stuff.
You're putting out a red alert.
Yeah, there you go. Think of the klaxon horn going off. That's how bad it is. Help. So what we need to do on that is we have this program, and we use WordPerfect, and we merge. And what we're trying to do is go fully online, because sometimes I get, like last night, Carol and I got chuckling about one. I got an app, and the person misspelled their own last name and their email address. Well, I figured it out and finally got it over to them. So it was a handwritten app. Hold on a second. Excuse me. So we're putting this online, and I was supposed to have this done a week ago, and I tried putting it together, and the server's kicking it back, and I don't know why. So it's at the server level, and the gentleman that's supposed to be helping us, of course, passed away, and so the gentleman that owns the server is so busy he can't get with me. And then Esther was supposed to step in and take over, and she just came down with, she's got cancer. She started her treatments, and she's just wiped out. She'll be down for a while with this treatment, but she'll come back and she'll help out as best she can. So you see, we're between a rock and a hard spot. We have the infrastructure in place. We don't have the technical ability to go forward. So if anybody out there knows, and we're using Plesk. If you don't know what Plesk is, don't worry. If you do know what Plesk is, then you know what we're talking about here. And so I have we have 9 websites total, I think, Carol, between you and I, and all the stuff we're doing for Indicator. And so right now we have new website that we're just going to use the URL, and we'll have that out shortly. It will be a very short version of our email address, so it's easier to get a hold of us. And then we have another one that's going to be just set up for just the applications. All the applications will be digital, be online. And the reason I'm setting it up that way is once you fill out an application, then it is converted to a .csv file, and then we can import it and be much quicker with building and distributing out and getting the trust out to everybody. So that's our goal, and we've been working this now for almost 4 months, and then, of course, upon John's untimely demise 2 months ago, it all came to a screeching halt, and he was working on that last piece to make all this work, and he didn't get it done, and I don't know what to do. So those are the things I want to talk about. So our site is secure. It does have SSL certificates. Chrome is just being a butt because Google is a butt. Alphabet Inc. owns them. They made $34 billion last quarter.
Oh, jeez.
I know. Yet they're banging on me for an extra $300 or $400 to put in a different certificate. Go figure.
Wow. Yeah.
Carol, is anything else we talked about this week that I forgot to mention?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. We do have a few callers here, so maybe we should go there for a moment.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I just have wireless caller, area code 919. 919?
Yes, can you hear me, Carol?
Now we can, yes.
Is the process to change the successor trustee a very difficult process to go through?
Just wait a minute. Because you can change that person, you can change the successor trustee at any time for any reason. So just wait a minute saying that you no longer wish to have Sally be successor trustee, but John's going to be successor trustee, something to that effect.
And did you say just write that in on the?
Yeah, and with, Jim, we have that verbiage on the website, don't we?
We do. You can go into the website, and we have about 350 sample minutes. You just have to go through them, and that's the next thing we need to do is get a better definition of where they're at, but they're by category. And we have them in, most of the time they're in text, but some of them are in Microsoft Word. So you go in and find the one that closely resembles what you're trying to say, copy it to your computer, and then you just paste it into a blank minute, and you'll see how that works in there. And then you have samples. and then you just modify it, basically like Carol says. At this point, we decided we were going to terminate Joe Blow as the successor trustee and appoint Sally Wright to be the successor trustee, and you date and sign it, and that's all you need to do.
Thank you.
No, one more thing you have to have them sign and agree, and that is in your existing trust. Almost the last page, there's the verbiage is there. You can type it, or you can go to the website and get it, and they have to sign and agree to be the successor trustee.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next caller is Todd. How are you today, Todd?
Hi, everybody. I want to wish everybody well out there that's listening, especially Jim and Carol, our leaders here on the conference call. I've been a customer of Jim's for probably since 2011, and I believe this asset that he's put together for us, the trust, is just bulletproof. I'm really thankful for being on board. I think I've come together with several family members, and they've too elected to participate with trusts. So I'll be really anxious to try to skip ahead to see if you've got any news concerning the underlying investment. But before we jump the gun or get the cart in front of the horse, I wanted to put out there a couple of questions concerning the certificates. I think you'll be able to simply answer that. And then two other questions concerning alternative assets, not real estate, but I do know that you mentioned that sometimes a trust is a good idea for alternative assets like real estate, cars, boats, what have you. But my questions would be more geared towards perhaps gold, silver, if there's any insights that you have on that. And then something new that's come on the horizon just in the last 10 years, since 2008, when the world market sort of tumbled into a downward spiral over real estate and the adjustable rate loans, was the emergence of a digital currency. And I understand that y'all have some experience with these trusts dating back many years, and with the common law of Massachusetts being the underlying, decider, or the governance of law being dated back to many, many years. I was curious about the other two assets like gold and silver, which those assets have been around since the start of time, I believe, as physical ways of transferring value. And then it leads me into the digital assets. I've got some experience myself in those that I've been studying for many years, and I'm pretty sure about 1% of the world population is on board and trying to get their head wrapped around what a digital currency is. If I have to sum that up, and I'm not expecting all my questions to be answered today, but I was wondering if on the front of the digital currency question, that asset, by the way, is one that I think's been studied since the 70s, when they were trying to create a digital currency that could be transferred as a store of value, similar to like an email is transferred, except when you transfer a digital asset, you relinquish the original copy to a ledger that's stored out onto the internet network. In other words, when we send files from our home computer, like Word documents and spreadsheets, the computer automatically backs that file up with the original and gives a copy. What's transgressed since the 70s, and I guess all the way through till 2008, is namely Bitcoin. That asset, when you send or transfer it, you no longer have a copy of the original. And different from a Visa transaction, it's non-reversible. The only way you can reverse that transaction is for the receiver to actually send that back to you, because you're not going to have a copy or any recourse of action. So I was just kind of curious on that home front, if there's anything that you guys might foresee coming down the pike for storing up your wealth in both gold, silver, and maybe some digital assets.
Jimmy, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I will. A couple things you brought up.
Excuse me, Todd? You got some noise in the background?
I'll try to get rid of that for you. That was my telephone. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
All right. First
Thank you guys
is,
all, and I'm wishing you all very well. I hope Jim's doing well, too. I understand.
And Jim Jenkins, he is listening to the call, so.
Okay. Thanks a lot, y'all.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
You can mute me now if you'd like.
Okay.
Todd,
Yeah.
that was an excellent question, and you really did do a great job of giving us a little bit of education. So it makes my job explaining this even easier. Thank you. One of the things that we didn't discuss, and I did have a note here that I was going to discuss, but I forgot, is creating a trust to be your own bank. You know, one of the things about this whole RV is you're going to end up being your own financial institution. I mean, for lack of a better term, that's what you're going to have. You're going to be borrowing money from yourself or from trust to trust. You're going to be investing. You're going to be getting interest rates. You're going to be doing deals and negotiating. Basically, you're going to be your own bank or banker. The difference between you being a banker and the ones that are out there now, they're called banksters. Of course, that is all coming to an end. And, you know, we will have a true financial system. Now, Todd had mentioned currency, the digital currency and different types of currency, and gold and silver. Well, there's a big difference here. There's currency and there's money. The Federal Reserve notes are currency. They're not money. Gold is money. Silver is money. And I do believe the cryptocurrencies will become true and lawful money. Again, I have limited experience in that. But I do believe the way they're setting some of this up is this going to be in a common law realm because the governments can't control it. Now, the banks are even trying to put together their own cryptocurrencies. And I don't think they're going to do a very good job of it because they're going to try and do it through a regulated system. And I do understand that once you pass the Bitcoin, as an example, when you pass it to another individual, you have no record of it, and it's not recoverable. Well, it's the same with handing somebody a $100 bill or handing somebody an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver. Once you hand it to them, there's no record of you having it. So that's a unique thing that makes crypto more like money than a fiat currency. So what I'm going to do, just my personal way of doing things, so I'm going to have one of my trusts is going to be basically my personal bank. And it's going to be the one that's going to fund everything else. It's kind of like your mother lode. Mother lode trust could be basically called your bank. It's going to finance everything. I'm going to have in that trust to be a sub-trust attached to it for financing, leasing company for my automobiles, my planes, trains, and cars, as I jokingly say. So that's what I'm going to be setting up. And I'm definitely going to be investing in some hard currency or hard money, gold and silver. I don't know if that completely answered his question, Carol.
I don't know if it completely. Well, we'll ask him. We take him off mute.
Yeah.
Okay, Todd.
So, do you see a need for a backup trust document to record such assets as both the hard physical money of gold and silver versus digital assets? Those may be jokingly said to be some of the hardest Satoshis in the world, Satoshis being a very micro, minuscule cut from 1/1,000,000th of one Bitcoin. Do you see any need to try at this time? Do you foresee something on the horizon there on these cryptocurrencies to warrant a trust document concerning taxation? And by the way, there are coins that don't keep a record of the ledger. Litecoin and Monero, Monero being one and also Dash being another, they currently do not keep a record of the transaction on the ledger for the blockchains. While Bitcoin in itself is a completely visible asset on the network where all wallets in existence can be tracked. And you can look up on a digital website the top 10 wallets around the world. Interestingly, some of the original wallets from the genesis of Bitcoin when it first started in 2008 have not been touched. Whether they're lost assets or they're just being stored, those original Bitcoins remain rested in place and have never moved. Now, your other Bitcoins that you transfer, you create a record when you do that transfer. Now, Litecoin is working on a deal called Mimblewimble, which when it goes live, it will give you the opportunity to check a box and make that transaction unseen and untraceable. So anyways, I wanted to just kind of throw it out to kind of change gears a little bit. We're dealing with a traditional market and waiting on our investment to come to fruition, but we're also on the gold and silver being money. The question is, do those require a trust document and a creator, if you will, to create that ownership of gold? In your opinion, gold would, where would you store your gold bars? You'd store them in a vault, and they're pretty much, like you said, similar to $100 bills. It's not traceable, and so too could be some of your Bitcoin assets. As long as you use the right cryptocurrency, you wouldn't be able to see them on the blockchains for when you did do the transfer. But there is a record, if you will, of the transactions on the ledger. And so, yeah, I was wondering if you see coming down the pike, if that market ever levels out and becomes less volatile, because it's truly just a roller coaster ride in a wild, wild west on the digital asset side of things. But nonetheless, the digital assets are a parallel universe to a traditional currency market. And I too, Jim, agree that those are currencies, and wonder if you see the need for what you see on the horizon with those. And then I think the question that you might have skipped over was, why do you not sign the certificates? I missed that part in our trust. You don't sign those, but you do, as a creator, get the first one kicked off, and the creator relinquishes the 100 certificates to the trust. But the other ones you don't fool with. So that's all my questions. Hope that helps. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Todd, I want you to, now this is Jim Knox, not Jim Jenkins, so I want you to give me a call. Got a pen handy? Okay. Anyway, 503-583-6791. I'll announce it again at the end of the call. I do want to talk to you about this. I think you and I can do some interesting things on this. Yes, I do believe that you should have a trust for this. It is private. The trust is private. I do want to address the certificate issue real quick. When you are issued the trust, you have two certificates, 50 units each. The creator signs off on those. The other certificates will only be used once the first certificates are surrendered back to the trust. In case of untimely demise, like my friend John passed away, his certificates now are back into the trust, reissued to me, because I'm successor trustee and I'm managing his affairs for his family. So that's why we do it that way. And
you sign them then, right? As successor trustee.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And they're in place. And as far as I'm thinking, as far as a record of transactions, I don't like records of transactions out there when it comes to my money. And Bitcoin or anything like that, well, that's basically money. It's the new currency. It's the new digital currency, and we're going to go to that with the new quantum financial system. It will be digital, and there will be records on that. So I don't want records of that. And as far as keeping gold and silver, yes, I'm going to keep physical gold and silver. And will I put it in a private vault? Yes. Will I put it in a public vault? No. Private vault will probably be someplace that I control and nobody else can control. So, but I do want to talk to you more about this, Todd. When you get a chance, give me a call, and we'll follow up on this, and I'll add it to the website. Something we had been talking about and thinking about. In fact, John and I was talking about that about 4 or 5 months ago, about what do we do with the coin that we got, the cryptocurrency? How do we store it? And how do we record it? And what entity do we put it in? So that's already been brought to my attention. I don't have a definitive answer at this moment. Okay, next question.
But I would say, yes, you should have a separate trust for those kinds of investments.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, goes back to Judy's question about prosperity packages. Keep them all separate. So, okay, we've got a few more people here.
Okay.
Come on. All right, wireless caller, area code 847.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sometimes when I'm on speaker it doesn't work too well. And I'm a little hoarse today. Jim, the $21 that you mentioned, I purchased my trust in 2013, and it was either $10 or $20 at the time. Is that going to be a problem, or do I have to make that over?
No, it's not a problem. Just you can see, Carol, can we amend that part of the trust? Would that be too much of an issue?
I think we could do that. I'm sure between the two of us, we can come up with something.
Yeah, give us a week or so, and we'll come up with a way of doing it. We'll do some research. It's not a big deal, but it is it's a significant issue. And the only reason we do this is we're betting against betting against the judicial system doing the right thing, if you don't mind me saying it that way. You know, sometimes you have to hold them their toes to the fire, and the best way to do that is be prepared and have your documents assembled properly to begin with. I've actually been in court a couple of times, and they don't really play by the rules most of the time.
and also, whether it's $10 or $21 or whatever number does not make the trust you have invalid. Your trust is perfectly fine.
I understand that. Okay.
Okay.
All right, one other question. Regarding successive trustees, I have my daughter listed as the successive trustee. Can you set up this to have a chain of successive trustees? In other words, if something should happen to my daughter, then it would go to my other daughter. Or does she have the option to give it to? All right, and I'm speaking to the first daughter that has the successive trust. If something happens to me, would she be able to give it to her daughter, or can I specify that it goes to my other daughter?
You can specify whatever you want.
But I mean, even so, I can list the first successive trustee as my daughter, and the second as my other daughter, third as my son.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can also put in a spendthrift clause, so your daughter cannot appoint her husband to succeed her. She can appoint her sister or her own kid.
No, absolutely not. There.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people have that feeling. But yeah, we can add all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All righty, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to add to that one thing that you said. You can have them all together, and they would make a new board of trustees, or you can put them to where they're successive. Upon your first daughter's demise or incapacity, then it goes to the second daughter, and so on and so forth.
Okay, that's how I want it.
Isn't that called the rule of Stirpes or Stirpes or something like that?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, we can answer. Okay. Next caller, Wayne. How are you doing today?
Yes, hi, Carol. This is Jillian.
Hi, Jillian. How you doing?
Oh, fine. I wanted to ask something I don't think's been asked, and I've been on the website to see if I could get the answer, but so far. I'm going to have a pastoral and missionary retreat with a veterans center, and I need a lot of land, and I found near our home a historical ranch that we'd like to buy. Now, we know that probably other people are looking at it, so I'm trying to think of how I can pay cash, put it in escrow very soon, because I only have the one trust.
So when you purchase the property, you're going to purchase it in your name and or assigns. And you'll call us up and say, I need a real estate trust for blah, 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 and we'll get it out to you. So when you close, you can say, I don't want it in my name, I want it in the name of this trust.
And the money comes, I have to do a secondary trust, so for that money to go in there, right, to pay for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to. The mother-in-law trust is going to fund this secondary trust, and that's the one that's going to own the property.
Okay, so so my idea of getting a cashier's check and putting it in escrow is not going to work.
I don't see why it wouldn't. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, it'll work. That's perfect, because what you do is you can put your money in there in the initially. And as long as you use and or assigns, then that money then is paid to the trust. The trust then has to pay you back that money. So,
I understand. Okay.
You understand that?
Right. And also there's a tentative map, and it has to be signed off by the middle of June, so there's really a rush to own this property because it's subdividing it. It's a lot of, well, it's not a lot. It's a lot for this area. It's over 700 acres. And in our area, the ranches are about 40 acres. So this is like a divine appointment that I want to get this to do the development that we want to do.
Okay, and do you have the amount of money for the down payment, or is that going to be post-RV?
No, it has to be post-RV, but so far this ranch has been for sale 15 years, and they've lowered it to half price of what they were asking. So it's really a steal, but nobody has that kind of money up here. It's about $4 million.
Okay. Well, one of the things, I'll give you a personal experience. I had a similar situation. I wanted to buy a homestead in Alaska. I lived in Alaska for years and years and years. And I didn't have the money, and I went and talked to them, and I did an and/or assigns. I went and found somebody that wanted to partner up with me. They put the money together, and then we did the and/or assigns clause at the close, and we put it into a trust. And then he took his share. He took his part in shares, the certificate of beneficial interest, basically. And then I, over time, bought those out from him. That's how I did it.
Oh, okay, I understand. So he had the money and you had the property.
I had the idea, found the property, he had the money, and he wanted to make a good return on his investment, so we put it in the trust, and then I gave him basically the beneficial interest certificates, and then as time went on, I paid him off. He gave me back the certificates. He was no longer involved in the trust.
Oh, okay, that sounds good if I can find an investor for that, because but if that investor would only really have to be able to finance it, right, at first, and then I would pay that. I'd pay that off, the loan.
Right. So you would be the person that would work with initially for the next 4 or 5 months until you got your money squared away, and then when you paid him off, he would no longer be a certificate holder, and you would do a disbursement to the certificate holder, and then with including the interest and whatever you guys agree on, and then he'd give you back the certificate. And then you control it 100%.
Oh, that's a good idea. So in case this thing tarries a while, then we can still secure the property.
Right. Like I keep saying, sometimes I have my moments, right?
Yeah, that's great. No, that's great, Jim. I really appreciate that because there's not going to be anything coming on the market like that around here because I live up in the mountains and there just isn't a lot of usable land. It's got a nice 10-acre lake on it. It's beautiful. Okay. And I want to do so much. That's my project, Therapeutic Writing Center, and it also has a beautiful home on it. So.
Okay. Well,
so I thank you so much for those ideas. I might be calling you. See if I'm
You've got
successful.
My
Okay,
number.
thank you,
If you have a question, call me, and I'll walk you through the process. Okay?
God bless. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, Rob. You there, Rob?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for waiting so patiently.
Sure, no problem. No problem. Thanks for the conference call. You had mentioned, you and Jim mentioned approximately a couple of months ago that your plans were to go before us and find out how all this stuff is going to work out. And I'm assuming you're still going to do that, and that some of us will wait until you get the results and then have a conference call. Do you remember that a couple months ago?
Yeah. And I know that we're going to be under NDAs, that's for sure. So, we're going to be limited into what we can share with you. I would suggest make your 800 appointments as soon as we get the number. You don't want to necessarily, have your appointment the same day that it happens. Might want to wait a day or two. Jim, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, thank you. When Carol's going to be the first one to go, because she's got a position above mine in that thing, and she's going to call me and tell me what she can tell me. And I don't think there's going to be a restriction on the procedure she went through. I think it's going to be the NDA is going to be more over don't talk about your money and don't talk about certain aspects of the transaction. But the procedure, I think, will be easy to explain. She'll call me right away when she gets out of there, and then I will get out what I can get out right away to everybody. I'll probably just blast out an email saying that, okay, Carol's went through the process. We're going to talk about this. We're going to have a conference call. We'll record it. We'll do it as soon as we can, record it, and put it on our website, not the Internet, on our website. And then only members get to hear it. And that's kind of what I was thinking we would do. And does that sound like what we could do, Carol?
Yeah, I think so, because it all depends on the NDA.
Right. So that's something we have to worry about. But I don't see the banks or anybody getting upset about talking about the procedure. I think they don't want you to talk about your assets and your trust and how much money you've got and what rate you got. We'll never tell you that. I would never tell anybody that, regardless.
Anyway, exactly.
Yeah. But I would definitely help people by, okay, this is what happened. This is what she said it happened. This is how it worked. This is what she found that worked best, and we'll go from there. But yeah, we'll definitely be in touch with everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, just didn't want to be out in the, in the cold there, all by the lonesome self, so to speak.
Yeah, no, we won't leave you hanging. We'll give you as much information as we can.
Oh, great. And so, in other words, get the 800 number, and do I assume we get to choose the time we can go in, or do they just say no? You.
Well, no, I believe you can, because nobody can tell you have to be here tomorrow when you might not be able to be there tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. So you can make your appointment for a few days out. I understand a week, I believe, for a week out. If you have extenuating circumstances, like you're in the hospital or you're on a cruise, you can make that request and say, I won't be back from my cruise for 2 weeks, or whatever the case may be. So yeah. I don't think that'll be a problem.
Oh, that won't be. Okay.
Now, basically, they want your money.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll work with you.
But they're not willing to wait. I mean, say you can't make it. You want to wait a month for some unknown reason, but They definitely want you on right away.
I think you probably can. I don't know. I mean, you're right. What we know about the exchange is what we hear and what we read. And I don't know. I do understand. I have heard that if you cannot make it in the first week or so, you can have a special request that I can't make it until such and such a time.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is rates may probably be different if that occurs.
So the longer you wait, the less.
The higher rates are probably going to be gone. The contract rates, if you are even going to ask for contract rates.
Mm-hmm.
But I read today that when Kuwait RV'd, they came out at about $350, and within a week they were up to $850, and then of course went back down. But you never know. You never know what the rate is going to be.
Wow. And their holiday, Ramadan, is that going to affect the?
From what I heard, no, it is not.
Oh, so it could happen during that Ramadan period?
It could, yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a lot of people are still expecting it, tomorrow or Monday.
Right. Yeah, right.
Well, let's put it this way. I don't think the world's going to let one country's holidays stop the procedure.
Yeah, it is global.
Yeah, it's kind of like, Spock said it best, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. I mean,
yeah.
So I think Ramadan's going to play any in this at all. Maybe for them, but not for you and me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, because that's May 5th to June 4th, so that's a month.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Is
that all, Rob?
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, we have one more, and that's Sandy again. You started us, and now you're closing with us. So, what is it, Sandy?
Okay, well, it's back to the certificates again. By the way, Todd is my nephew that y'all were talking to. So he and I got in this with Jenkins, and that was way before you got into it, or we knew about you anyway. Carol, you may have been in the background, but when I created my trust, it was just myself, and I was the trustee, and my daughter was the creator. And as it went along and learned, and I talked to Jenkins about, maybe felt like I needed to have another trustee in with me. So he said I could put my daughter, who had signed off from the creator. We could go through the minutes and add her back in as a trustee. I forgot all about certificates, though. Do I need? I mean, she signed the certificate. She signed the certificate over to me. Is that? Boy, I don't have my book in front of me.
Well, that part is still absolutely correct. And just because she's a trustee doesn't mean she has to be a certificate holder. You were the one that exchanged your assets into the trust, right?
Oh, yes.
So you are still the certificate holder. If she comes on later, she doesn't need to have any certificates unless you want to give her some.
Oh, okay. But if I want to, I can still do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, then, sayonara.
All right. Thank you. All right, Jim, you want to close here?
Sure. I think this has been a remarkable call today. We've learned a lot. We got a lot of information out there. Again, we're looking for some help. If anybody happens to know anybody that can help us, give me a call. Don't bother Carol with it because she doesn't know what I do. She just no. She just knows I'm the problem child sometimes in this situation. Why doesn't this work, Jim? Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's been a great call. We're going to have a great time. Things are really getting close. We all feel it. I think the energy in the air is you almost can feel it. It's almost like electricity lately. And the planet's going through a lot of changes. People are going through a lot of changes. The government's going through a lot of changes. And we're going to benefit from this more than most, but we have to remember that we have to help everybody around us. This is not just for us. This is a humanitarian effort, really. So my number is 503-583-6791. I'm in Oregon. I don't like working early in the morning. Please look at your clock and adjust your time before you call me. I got a call a couple of days ago at 6 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't even think at 6 o'clock in the morning. Anyway,
really?
And my email is security@indicatorinformation.com. Our website is indicatorinformation.com. And remember, Chrome is probably not the best way to get into our website. Use I like Opera. It's my favorite. Use Firefox or Edge. But if you have an issue with Chrome, ignore it. Push the button. It's secure. Trust me, it is secure. With that, I hand it over to you, Carol.
All right. Thank you, Jim. You know, like many of you, I've heard that we must have a trust when we exchange. So I urge you to be prepared. As I said, skeleton trust is probably not a good idea. Typical turnaround time right now is about a week, but I expect it to be considerably longer post-RV. Our contract trusts are well priced at only $14.95 for new clients and $11.95 for additional trusts or for family members. We also offer a 20% referral fee for any fully paid new trusts. And many of you have asked, well, what else do you offer? We have the triple play, which includes a pour-over will, a power of attorney, and a health care directive. The triple play is $275 for a single and $350 for a couple. So that's about it for today. Judy, thank you, as always, for your very able assistance. And thanks to all of you. Yeah, thanks to all of you for your attention and participation. We will be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully before then. So I am on the Central Time Zone. I also do not like mornings, so bear that in mind. So enjoy your weekend, and may be blessed one for all of us. My name is Carol Werelius, 425-820-8090, and my email is info, @indicatorinformation.com. Go RV. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.